Welcome to CatchyCartoons. Today we're going to be drawing one of the most well-known and popular dog breeds in the world, the German Shepherd. Now, I love all kinds of dogs, but I have to admit it's one of my favorites. Perhaps it's yours too. So let's get drawing. We'll start the rough with a circle for the head and a center line for the bias. Now, as I don't want a lot of forehead, we'll place the eye line near the top of his head. We'll draw the eyes close together on the eye line and sketch in the irises. And since he's in typical German Shepherd watchdog mode, let's give him a look of concentration by furrowing his brows. We'll push that look of concentration with a slightly serious downturn to the mouth. A little arc to the line to the top of his muzzle, straight across to the bottom of his eyes. Arc the line around the cheek and we'll finish his muzzle by angling the line up to his mouth. And let's give this guy a big rubbery nose. German Shepherds have fairly big and pointed ears, so we'll create the ears by drawing a bit of a wonky M shape. In the past, we've drawn a human ear using a number 3, so why not an M for a dog's ears? Continue the ears straight down to his collar. A simple little arc around the bottom of his neck, and we'll take the line straight up his throat along the same line as the left ear. As we move on to the body, we need to be thinking about our dog's mindset. In fact, we should have been thinking about that before putting pencil to paper or stylus to screen. But since we've already established that he is in watchdog mode through his facial expression, we'll need to carry that same attitude through to his pose by having him sitting up alert and ready for anything. We'll angle a straight line up at about 110 degrees. He should have a deep, full chest, and we'll arc the line inwards as we move down along his belly at roughly the same angle as his back. He should have long, fairly thick legs with those famously big German Shepherd paws. The legs should be straight up and down to reinforce his alert watchdog posture. We'll knock in the bottom of his tail as this will help us place his back legs. A simple upside down U for the back leg, a big floppy foot, and straight up the back of the leg as I throw the anatomical structure right out the window, which I'll talk about later. And you'll be thinking, hang on a minute, I thought this was a how to draw video. What kind of legs are those? We'll finish the rough by giving him a long, thick German Shepherd tail. And if you've ever been whacked by a wagging one, you know that they're quite heavy too. Move on to the first tie-down stage. Our rough is in pretty good shape, so it will just be a matter of solidifying, fine-tuning, and adding more information to the drawing. As always, make sure that the eyes and brows are rock solid. It's so important to get facial elements exactly as you want them. We want the top of the muzzle to be straight. Let's add more form to the mouth as we draw in the philtrum. Now there's a new word for everyone. Well, it certainly was for me. The philtrum is that line down the middle of the nose which then becomes a split in the upper lip that most animals have. Bunnies in particular have especially cute ones. More downturn to the mouth as we push the expression. Let's draw in his chin and pull the lower jaw in a touch. And that big rubbery nose is looking a bit too soft, so we'll make it a bit more angular and sketch in the nostrils. We want the neck to feel as if it goes straight up to the tip of the ear. Another straight line down to the head, and keep the line nice and straight down to his collar. Sketch in some tufts of fur for the ruff around his neck. Now his tummy is looking a bit thin, and I for one like a bit more of a pudgier dog, so we'll thicken that area up just a touch, but not too much. And then guess what? We're going to once again straighten a line, this time down his back. Now, do any of you see a pattern developing? If so, pause the video and leave a comment on why you think I'm pushing all these straight lines. I'll explain why during the second tie-down stage. So no cheating, stay with me for now. We'll add some tufts at the end of his tail, and you guessed it, straighten the line along the bottom of his tail. As we start to tie down the back legs, I'm sure some of you are wondering why I've drawn rather human-like legs on a dog. Well, I've done this because I want to push his alert watchdog pose, and by having the back legs on the vertical like this, it echoes the posture of his front legs. And some of you may have noticed that his front legs are too far forward, and you would be correct. The front legs should be placed at least halfway to 2/3 of the way across his chest. I did this because I wanted to create some negative space between the front and back legs to avoid a potentially messy looking drawing. This cheated anatomy works due to the cartoony nature of the design, and you can get away with these sorts of things in this stylized type of drawing. We'll draw in the toes. Don't worry about that line overlapping the foot. In fact, the overlap can simply double as the toenails. Let's round off the bottom of this foot, and then, yes, a nice straight line to finish the leg. More toes. Tie down the fourth leg, and now we'll add in some of those typical German Shepherd markings along the tail, up through the body, and the back of the head. And of course, his characteristic mask and beauty spot. I know it's not really a beauty spot, but it is fun to think of it that way. And we'll just finish the first tie-down stage by adding a colour separation line. Here would be a good place to take a break and assess your drawing. How is it looking? Happy? If not, do take some time now to correct anything that's bothering you before we move on. And if you have an extra moment and you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button and maybe even subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. In the second tie-down stage, we'd normally do a little polishing and refining, but not today. We're just going to apply a darker and more committed line. As usual, we'll carefully lay down our line through the eyes, brows, and facial features. You want to get these just right. So, earlier in the video, I wondered if any of you saw a pattern regarding all the straight lines. Well, here's my reasoning. Since the design of this German Shepherd is quite simple and graphic, I want the straights to be very straight, to play off the curves and push the contrasting shapes and forms. A slightly curved line would have worked, but it just wouldn't pack the same punch. And I know some of you are saying, but I can't draw a straight line. Well, you know what? Neither can I. The line doesn't have to be ruler straight. That deadens the drawing. And anyway, you still want to keep the human element in your drawing, which means the lines will never be perfectly straight. I should note, as I was applying my committed line, that I discovered a happy accident. Thanks to my cheating of his anatomy, I ended up creating a nice straight line that runs all the way down from the tip of his left ear, through the throat, and down the leg to the foot. This added to the simplistic nature of the design, while also creating a really nice silhouette. And it leads me to talk about the use of parallel lines. And as most of you know, from what I've said previously, I am not a fan. But in this case, the virtually parallel lines in the head and legs do help to sell his alert watchdog pose, as those vertical lines push his upright posture and play nicely against the curved, angled, and horizontal lines, which ultimately creates more contrast and therefore a more interesting image. We'll add some tone to the drawing and move on to the cleanup stage, where we'll apply our clean and final line. With this being quite a simple and graphic design, I would typically apply a thick, bold line, but then I thought this guy would actually look good with a more standard or traditional cleanup line that tapers between thicks and thins to give the line life. Take note that I am using a very dark brown and not black for the cleanup line. More on this later. Be sure to take extra care around the eyes, brows, and facial features, as you don't want to lose any of that expression that you've worked so carefully on. The line for the tufts of fur throughout his ruff should be kept fairly thin and light to reflect their tuftiness. A nice and smooth line through the leg and foot and up. And let's make sure to keep the straights as straight as humanly possible. as you don't want to soften the contrasting shapes. We'll add a colour separation line through his underside and over the knees. Just tidy up his markings a little and we're ready for colour. Although German Shepherds come in several colours, our guy is the more traditional black and tan. So we'll start by giving him a nice tan for the legs, body, neck and cheek. But instead of black, we're going to use a rich dark brown, as I don't want the exterior line work to get lost against blocks of solid black. As I mentioned in my C is for chimpanzee video, black can create a hole in the image. A kind of black hole, I suppose. So avoid pure black at all cost, even in your line work. We'll use a cream for the front of his body and the underside of his tail, a distinguished touch of grey around the muzzle, and a silly blue nose just for fun. We'll finish up with some nice amber eyes, and your German Shepherd drawing is done. If this video helped you with your drawing, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more from Catchy Cartoons, ring the bell to be notified of my next video, please share this video and leave a comment. Perhaps what dog breed you'd like to learn how to draw. And please send me your German Shepherd drawing. Does yours have a blue nose as well? You just might see it in a future Catchy Cartoons video. Thanks for watching today, and be sure to come back for some more fun learning how to draw.